What's up, everybody? Welcome to Scorch the Fears. We have the amazing Sarah Miller here. Sarah is an absolute beast in Astroflipping, an amazing wholesaler, super dope human being. I loved her mindset video or the speech at the Astro Mastermind, and I just really wanted to get her on here. I think she deserves it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get her on here. Sarah, welcome to Scorch the Fears, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jonah. I was very honored that you asked me.
Yeah, 100%. I think
Yeah.
you deserve it. You gave a really good speech there, and I had known you for a while. I had seen you before, but I don't think we had talked that much. But I was like, "Damn, okay, she'd be a really good person to have on the podcast, I think, just to talk about mindset issues and stuff like that." So, real quick, just tell everyone what you do. I already know you, and so I just want you to introduce yourself and what you do, what type of real estate investing you're into, if there's any other entrepreneurial stuff. Just give it a real quick recap to everybody, just real quick.
Sure. So I am an Astroflipping student. I'm a wholesaler. It's just me and my business. I don't have a team yet, but investments, it works. Before Astro and before real estate, I tried a few other entrepreneurial ventures, and it was kind of clear that that was the route I was going. I did go to college and get a degree, but right after, I immediately started a business that had nothing to do with my degree. I had a photography business. And then yeah, I went to work in my field, which was speech pathology, for a few years, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and the income potential just wasn't there. And it's all relative, when you're at one level, this income looks it's going to be amazing, and then when you get here, it's not so great. And then so real estate just seemed like it had the most potential for giving me the opportunity to create the life that I wanted for myself and my family, and it just seemed like natural next step. So I, of course, the
Wait,
algorithm.
what were your other businesses? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah,
So
well,
there's the photography, but
it's
what
the
else were there?
photography. For a hot second, I was a health coach, literally super fast.
Nice.
But I was like, no, not for me. What else have I done? There was something else too, but it was also one of those really quick. So I'm the kind of person that, like, if I start something, I'll try new things, but if I know that it's not working, I'm not going to stick around and waste my time. But it wasn't that with real estate. I knew I've always loved houses, and I still love houses and interior design and talking to people and making connections. So when it was time to make the commitment to go down this path, I found Pace and Jamil, and I knew I was not afraid to make that commitment because I knew I would be all in. And there's never been a doubt in my mind since I started that, like, this is
Love
it.
it.
I'm not afraid that I have no plan B now. There's no
Let's go.
there's no option. This is it. We're in. And the only way that you can fail at this is if you give up. So I've released the expectation of how long it's going to take to get to this level or this level, because that's a big area where my mindset, struggles started, was having that expectation when I first started of how long it was going to take, and then comparing myself to all of the high level students, which was a good thing and also not a good thing.
We'll get into it, but I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious. So, what about real estate made it where you were so sure that real estate was just such a better option than everything else you'd been looking into, whether it be health or anything? Why real estate?
It was so I'm a big person on intuition. I can generally feel if something is a good fit or not, or if it's, if I'm meant to keep going on that path or not. And I just had a gut feeling. And then when I started it and I started meeting all the people that are in this business, especially Astro and Sub 2, the community is unmatched. And, like, these are my people. Like, my whole life, my best friends I've met in Astro and so too. So
Love it.
yeah, yeah, that was a big one, definitely. Just getting to know the people, and then the simplicity, but also the challenge of it, because real estate is simple, but it's not easy. So
Yeah.
there's lots of puzzles to solve, there's lots of problems to solve. You can have an immense impact in people's lives, and solve problems for people, but also get paid very well for doing that. And there's it's the game of it, you know, aside from that, just the game of learning all the rules and learning how to leverage things and leverage other people's money and buying assets, and just there's so much. It is so cool.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go back. You were mentioning it earlier because the first question I always ask everyone is, what were your fears when you were just, how long have you been doing it, Sarah? I forgot.
18 months.
Love it. You've been doing it for
Yeah.
18 months. So then what were your fears when you were starting out? Like, what were your biggest fears and like, anxieties
Mm.
going into it? And how did you, what were they? And then how did you overcome them?
Well, I would say my biggest fear starting out, it wasn't really the social part of it. It was more the technical stuff. So like putting my name on a contract to, put a house under contract to purchase, and then assignment contracts and options and things like that. Just understanding, because to me, a contract is a big deal. And I just didn't understand that, you can cancel a contract, and you have every right to do that if it's not a good deal. And you thought, going into it, that it was a good deal. Oh,
I am muted. That's why you can't hear me. You
oh,
were
okay.
worried that like someone would sue you, basically. They would break a contract and you get sued.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I was afraid, or I would get stuck having to buy the property if, because when you go into a contract, you're never going to go into a contract knowing that it's not a good deal, and knowing you're going to have to cancel. That's not, that you don't do that. So, but when you got into it, I didn't know how everything worked. So yeah, essentially I was afraid I was going to get sued or get in trouble somehow, or have to come up with the money to buy a house that wasn't a good deal, or, stuff like that. And then assignments. So when I did start out in acquisitions, but then I moved to micro flipping and dispositions. And so when it came time to do my first assignment, I was, oh crap, I have to actually do this now. So, but thankfully I had help, and after I went through it a couple times, it's very simple. It's a lot when you're first getting into it and you see all the moving pieces and all the contracts and the wording and this and that, but it's really simple once you do it a couple times. Yeah.
So that was the main fear,
So,
was
yeah.
getting sued, more
Yeah,
or less.
getting sued, essentially, yeah. And
Okay. And
then
then so how'd you overcome it? So like, was it just like you just did it a few times?
yeah, just doing it and
Okay.
asking for help. I would ask for help if I was unsure about signing something, or if I was unsure about how to fill out an assignment, or do I remember asking Jamil, do I turn in the option to title, or how does an option translate to an assignment? So that was one. You don't turn in the option to title. If anybody's wondering, that's just kind of a cover your butt. It makes it legal for you to market the property. But then my second fear was telling people what I was doing. And because what if I failed? You know, I knew I wasn't going to quit, but there was that fear of like, what if it takes me too long? What if I just, what if I'm not consistent and it, takes me,
Mhm.
all that stuff, what if they judge me? What will they think? Things like that. And then that kind of, I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? This is really cool. And I am doing something that I can be proud of and that I provide an incredible service and I could teach people how to make money from anywhere in the world. This is really cool. And so I did start talking about it and letting, people outside of my immediate family know what I was doing and people have been really supportive and curious about what I'm doing and I love it. So I'm proud to say I'm a wholesaler.
I love it.
Um,
I
I
love it
love
so
it.
much.
Yeah.
And what I also love about it too is what all the what ifs, what they all related to. I don't know if people were recognizing this, but every what if almost always that most people get screwed up on is somebody else's opinion of whatever the hell you're doing, right? That's what I heard in a lot of those what ifs. The what if of like, what if, they don't understand what I'm doing? What if it takes me too long and I look stupid compared to other leaders? What if I'm not making the money I'm supposed to be making after a certain amount of time, right? And it's all nonsense. It's all things that aren't real. These are things inside of your head, and like it's not just you, Sarah. It's like everyone has this problem, and it's something that even to this day I still deal with in a lot of ways. Like my what ifs now are a little bit more, a little bit silly. Like, what if I go bankrupt? And then, but it's also the same thing actually. What if I go bankrupt and then everyone laughs at me and it's like, oh my God, I'm this huge fraud, right? It's all the same nonsense, right? That it's like, because in the end, it's just external, right? Honestly, if I went bankrupt tomorrow, if and nobody knew and like nobody cared, I wouldn't care, right? I'd just be like, I don't care. I'll just go out and make another 30K tomorrow. It's just I have to
Let's
just
do it
fire
again.
everybody now, right? But so how do you deal with that? How do you deal with other people's judgments? How do you personally, Sarah, get over that? What do you do in order to stay positive and keep a really good mindset? Because I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to real estate and just everything in general. So, how do you do that?
I got to a point where I just understood that it's when other people judge you and when other people express disapproval of what you're doing, it's not about you. It's about
Yeah,
them.
that's the
It's
one.
about what they understand. It's about their fears. They might, yeah, they care about you and that's why they're expressing this. But yeah, just trying not to really go look at it with compassion instead of fear. You know,
Mhm.
they just don't understand what you're doing. And that doesn't mean you should not stop, or it means that you should not stop. You don't have to stop when people don't approve of what you're doing because it's not their life. This is your life. They have theirs and they make their choices and you have your life. And if you make your choices based on what other people think is best for you when you know that that's not what's best for you, that's a recipe for unhappiness and resentment. So, you know, and if you get backlash online, if you put, what you're doing online and you get backlash, just don't pay attention to it as much. I know that's really easier said than done, but it's not about you, and they're going to think about it for 5 seconds and then they're moving on. So that's another big one is when you get criticism or a comment, just realize that that other person has already moved on 10 seconds after they said that. They're focusing on them. Everybody out there is focused on themselves. So if you get negative feedback or criticism, they're already not thinking about it. So, move on, center yourself and do your best to just, recalibrate and move on.
I love it. Also, for me, just something to think about if you're getting hate on social media, remember that if you're actually going to become successful, you have to have haters. Everybody who's successful has haters. It's like physically impossible not to. So you just got to realize that you're just one more step closer to success if you have more haters. So, anyways, cool. So let's go through it. How did you even find out about real estate, Sarah? Where did you even first hear about it?
Well, I knew some people in my family had done real estate and I thought it was kind of interesting. And then I've always wanted a big, beautiful home in an amazing location. And so that is one of my whys, my end goals. That's one of my big goals. So I'm kind of just like learning what people with wealth did. How did they get there? And, a lot of it was real estate. And then I was like, oh, wait, I love beautiful houses. Like if I did real estate, I could do flips and I could make beautiful houses. And so that was a big one, was just getting to create my own canvases and play and do my passion of interior design. So that was definitely a big one. But how I found it was, just kind of knowing that it had the potential to create unlimited income, and there were so many options to do it. So I started, searching online, and then also, how do you buy rentals when you don't have, just a couple
Any
hundred
money.
thousand dollars laying around, or any money? So then, of course, the next natural step that you're going to find is wholesale. So I was okay, well, we could do this. So, you start diving into Bigger Pockets and Wholesale Hotline and all of those, real estate podcasts. And then you see who you resonate with. So when you're first getting started, you go and you listen to everybody and everything, and you find this and that and this, and you're just so hungry for information. And then you find people that you really resonate with and you can't get enough of. And then my advice is go all in on those people. Then don't keep listening to everybody, because you're going to get conflicting advice and you're going to get different methods, and some of them aren't going to mesh well. So that's that. Get tunnel vision. When you find somebody that you vibe with, go all in on their method and do what they did or do what they say to do, instead of trying to mix and match
So what
everybody.
is that? Is that just a feeling? And we're talking about mentors right now.
Mhm.
What do you talk about mentorship for a second? Because I definitely think you and me have been changed by mentorships and like
Yeah.
sped run through real estate basically.
Mhm.
I just want you to talk a little bit about like, how do you find a good mentor? What do you even mean by vibing with them well? And then
Mm.
also, how did your mentors change the way that you did it, and how do you find one and all of that good stuff?
That's a really good question. So for me, I'm very energy based, and I have a really when I meet people or when I see people, I can kind of just tell if they're a person that I would want to take advice from or not,
Mhm.
or have a similar experience as. So, I mean, it's just kind of who you're drawn to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think everybody can tell if they're drawn to a person or not. And I think your mentor should be someone that you feel drawn to, and someone that you can relate to. Maybe their story is similar to yours. Maybe they have very similar values to you or similar beliefs. Maybe they've overcome the same things that you have or are going through. So just look for, maybe I'm hesitant to say look for similarities, because you might, align with somebody that you don't necessarily have similarities with. But
I
yeah,
would
just
say
who you're drawn
similarities.
to.
I
Yeah.
would say similarities. I think similarities doesn't necessarily have to be like characteristics and stories, but definitely
Yeah.
their vibe, how they act, how
Mm.
for me, what attracted me to astro flipping and it wasn't even Jamil actually, but like and what attract honestly, Jamil's probably a bad example because I joined astro flipping before he was a part of it. But I'll use Pace because I'm also part of Sub 2. And Pace, I was immediately, oh, this guy, there's something about this guy. It's more than just real estate. There is something extra there. And that extra in your mentor is going to make a
Mhm.
huge freaking difference, right? How much do they care about it? How much do they into it? And what I love about our mentorships is because there's the big mentors. You get Jamil and Pace who are like 10,000 steps ahead of us.
Mhm.
Wow. But then you also get people like us who are one or two steps ahead of a newbie, right? And like that way, we're more useful to most people. I think we're, in some ways, I'm more useful to a newbie than Pace is, because A, I have more time, and B, Pace is like so freaking far ahead that he doesn't even have like, he just has so much going on. He has no time for it anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Pace and Jamil. And you also want a mentor. You want to join a community where there's like both like leaders and big mentors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Can I just add
and
something to that real
go for
quick?
it.
You want somebody that actually like cares about the people that they're mentoring. So Pace and
Mm,
Jamil care so much and they pour so much into their communities. And the community is the most important thing. Like Jamil always says all the time, I put all of this information on YouTube for free, but what you get when you're joining is the community, which is really like big family. So that in itself, because yes, you can't always go to them if you have a question, but there's always a ton of other people, student leaders that you can. So,
yeah,
yeah.
100%. So Sarah, what fears do you feel like were helped with the community specifically? I know the contract one especially, but like I
Mm,
really like, especially since you're part of Astro and these sub two and all these communities, like how did they help you overcome your fears in real estate?
mm. Well, just reaching out whenever you start something, if you really care about it, you have to ask for help when you need it. You can't just try to do everything on your own and figure it out on your own. So I knew that going into it, that when I had problems, like that is why I joined the mentorship, is because I knew that I was going to have questions. I was brand new at this, and I knew that YouTube wasn't going to be able to answer my question when I was in a situation with a seller or a buyer or a deal. I can't go on YouTube and just get a custom question answered. So that was a big reason. So having the other student leaders to go to and having those weekly calls where you can ask them directly, that was the biggest thing. And then when I was talking to the other students who had already had success, kind of expressing and getting vulnerable to them about what I was going through and what I was struggling with. And then they would share their struggles and what they went through, which you don't always see. So when you see all the success, people don't usually talk about what they had to go through to get there. So that was really incredibly helpful to hear some of the bigger, more successful people say, yeah, I went through that too. And this is how I dealt with it. And kind of applying that and what they did to your life to help you get through it. And then realizing eventually not to compare yourself, because everybody's journey is different and everybody's situation is different. Everybody's brain is different. So, what works for one person is not going to work for another. And you can't judge yourself for that not working for you. You have to find your own way. And yes, that means trying a bunch of different things, but eventually you'll know what works for
Talk about
you.
that for a second, because this is something that I won't lie, I struggle with that a lot. I am a super competitive person, so it's really hard for me not to compare myself to my friends, right? Like
Hmm.
I won't lie, I subconsciously am I beating John and Mahmood? I wanna be making sure I'm beating them in assignment fees, right?
Yeah.
Because of ego, right? All of that is, in the end, is just ego, in my opinion.
Hmm.
That, at least for me, that might be ego. There's like two sides to it, I would say. There's the side where it's super ego related, competitive. I should be beating people. Why am I not doing it? Why am I falling behind in this way
Hmm.
or that way? But again, it's all just fantasy. It's just such stuff that does only exists in your mind, right? And like, these things that we come up with, feeling like, hey, I should be beating John and Mahmood, or hey, I should be at 100K a month or 10K a month, or whatever the hell your goal is, right? And understanding that everybody's journey is different. The person you're competing against every single day is yourself. That's 100% who you're supposed to be competing against. So
Hmm.
sorry, I went on a speech, but tell me your thoughts on it.
No, no. And so I experienced the same thing. I'm also competitive, and I actually like that because I think a little bit of ego in this business is necessary, and competitiveness, but a friendly competitiveness. Not I'm going to
Yeah.
crush you, you're going down, I'm going to put you out of business.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm going to do more deals than you next month,
Right.
or, hey, I'm going to make 50K on this one assignment, or
Right.
whatever it is. So I think you can use that and have fun with it, and that really drives you. And you can aim to be, I'm going to be in the top 3 producers in Astro.
Let's go.
Yeah, you can do that and you can use it. So I would encourage that. Don't get rid of your ego completely, but get rid of the part that it makes you feel insecure. Keep the part that gives you confidence and that tells you you're a badass, but then get rid of the part that's like, if I don't, beat John and Mahmood, I'm a loser. That's not
Exactly.
helpful. Get that guy out of here. But yeah, just definitely use it because it's fun that way too. And you
Yeah.
don't and my I don't like to tell people I'm competing with them. I just like to do it low key. And then yeah, but it drives me like it does. So it's
Good.
good. Yeah, I
I
think you can use
definitely tell
that.
people. I 100% tell people. I'm always trying to tell John and Mahmood. I don't actually. I haven't been competing them with deals, but I've been
Yeah.
competing. I've been competing in the challenge, the social media
Oh yeah.
challenge.
But that's
But
fun though.
that's
You
really
know,
fun. That is a
that
fun
is
way.
fun.
But so
And
how do
then
you
for
do
us
it
too.
though? But how do you do it? Like how because it is hard, right? Like sometimes you're right. The issue is the depressive side, the part when like,
Mm,
you don't win or like
mhm.
you do way worse than you were supposed to do.
Mhm.
Like how do you keep yourself from getting into a depression cycle and more
Mm.
just staying positive about being like, hey, take a breather. It's not like the end of the world. How would you recommend it to someone? Because you were talking about how you struggled with that. So like, what were your methods? How did you deal with that?
Absolutely. And I still do. To be perfectly honest with you, all of the things that I'm learning and talking about right now are things that I'm actively doing and actively going through. So
Yeah.
a big thing that I had to go through, and I'm glad now that I had to go through it because I see the value in it and how I can help other people through my experience. So I'm not upset that, that I got into this negative thought loop and negative self-talk and down on myself for so long because I can use that. I see the value in it. And so using my okay, let me just circle back here real quick. So when I back in December, I was just at a low. I was comparing myself. It was, my
Mhm.
success wasn't coming as fast as I wanted and in the volumes that I wanted. So I let my habits go. I let my mindset kind of dip and I got into like kind of a really negative negative loop. So where all day I was asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Why is this not working? And what I didn't realize I was doing was I was training my brain to perpetuate that cycle of, I can't do this. There's something wrong with me. This isn't working. When
Right.
logically, I knew it works. There's nothing wrong with me. And I can do this. I know how to do this because I'm really good at helping other people do this. But I didn't realize that I was perpetuating that cycle and I was creating a chemical cocktail in my brain that my body and my brain got addicted to. So it was just a vicious cycle. And so, what I recommend when you are in those funk situations and those depressed states for a long time, when you get that wave of frustration and anger with yourself to where you're just like, I'm fed up, I'm done, and you get the instinct to do something about it, don't wait, do it. Because of course, the fear came up of, am I going to stay committed to this? Or am I going to follow through? Or can I actually achieve that? Ignore it, throw it out the window, and just act on it. So I reached out and I got an accountability partner. And then I I got a branding expert because I knew I have to build a brand
Nice.
because I have to elevate myself to basically I have to put myself in a position and then I have to catch up with myself. So that's what I've been doing is if you want to be somewhere, you have to put yourself there. No one else is going to do it for you. So I began putting myself in positions and creating or asking for, I'll say asking for opportunities that would force me to grow and that would force me to get out of my head and to do the things. So I asked Jamil to do a vision board challenge, and I thought it was going to be an online thing and it would be fun. Well, it went way more than that, and it was an in-person thing, and all of a sudden I'm flying out to Arizona to speak at an event. And so I was, oh crap. Okay, I got to become an expert on vision boards in the next 2 weeks. So let's do this. And then honestly, like that changed everything.
Ooh,
Everything.
interesting. Wait, tell us what for people who don't know, what is a vision board and why do I need one?
Okay. So a vision board is and I'll show you mine. It's right here. A vision board is board of pictures that inspire you, pictures of things that you want in your life, pictures of things that make you feel. So, where you're going, why you want to do it, things, people, places you want to go, and what you do with that. It's not a wish board. So, it's not like you put things on it and you look at it and magically they come to you. It's a training tool. It's like,
Explain. What does that mean?
yes. So you are training your brain. So looking at something repetitively every day is training your brain to look for evidence in your environment to create that for you. So and especially when you combine it with emotion. So if you're looking at the pictures on your vision board every day and you're making an effort to feel the feelings that you would have if you had that thing, if you were in that place, and make it as, graphic as bring as many senses into it as you can, because what that does is it creates stronger neural pathways. So when you're using visualization or imagination is so powerful. Your brain doesn't know the difference between something that you're imagining or visualizing, which is basically the same thing, and what's real. So if you're repetitively imagining something and feeling the feelings that go with it, and you're basically present in that reality in your brain, you're creating a map to that thing because you're creating neural pathways that are going to keep firing, and then they'll work their way into your neural network, which becomes your truth. And what your brain does is it looks for evidence in your environment, in your daily life, for truth. And it also there's something in your brain called your reticular activating system.
And then follow her at the real Sarah Miller. That's her Instagram. She's building a brand. Anything else you want to plug?
No, just thank you
Send her
so
deals in
much.
Tampa also.
Yes, send me deals
Central
in
Florida.
Tampa, Orlando, St. Pete, and also I'm looking for creative deals in West Palm Beach, Palm Beach County.
Are you buying there?
Yes, I am buying there.
You're trying to move into a house there.
Yeah, I'm within the next year. I'm looking for a high-end primary residence in the West Palm Beach
Marco
area.
is the right person for that. He wants to.
Yeah.
He's very active there.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. All right. Scorch of Fears, amazing. Next week we will be on same time, 6 p.m. MST. This is episode. I don't know what freaking episode we're on.
66, I think it was.
I'm glad you know, because he didn't put it in the title. He was supposed to. My VA is supposed to put it in the title, but he completely forgot. But Sarah, you're amazing. Any last words for the crowd?
Thank you so much, and I've loved being here, Jonah. Thank you.
Awesome. Guys, go create your vision boards, crush it, make some money, reach out to her, DM her. And guys, we will see you next week. Let's freaking go.
Let's go.